That was an amazing amount of information. So now we're going to bring up our three panelists so you can ask some individual questions.
This is my question. It's on the bidding process to obtain the property. Now, about 4 or 5 years ago, I bought a house through the tax foreclosure in Wayne County. It cost me $500 to bid on the house plus $35 fee. I understand now that if you want to bid on one piece of property, it costs you $2,000. This is with Wayne County. If you want to bid on 2 or more, it's up to $10,000, which kind of takes us all out of the equation here. Is the Detroit Land Bank part of that same Wayne County tax foreclosure auction? And is that fee, as I stated, is it $2,000 bid on one piece of property and $10,000 for 2 or more? That's a real issue.
So what he's asking about is the question about the registration fee. So when you go to Wayne County, you purchase a property, they ask you for some money up front to say, hey, are you a serious bidder? So they ask you for $2,000. And as the gentleman said, above that, they ask you for $10,000. I hadn't heard about the $10,000 fee, well aware of $2,000. That must, like you said, be relatively new. Separate things completely. So the Detroit Land Bank auctions are completely different, run by a completely separate entity that's solely answers to itself. So yeah, you're not going to have to worry about that if you're looking to acquire properties through the DLBA. I don't know what their minimum deposit is, like what they're bidding.
Generally, it's the second round where they charge you the $10,000. The first round, you don't have to pay that. It's a small fee. But on the second round, they want, you're going to buy more than one, they want $10,000. The good news is to get it back, you don't buy anything. That's really good.
That's right, it's a deposit.
Well, who can put up to $10,000? You know, I don't have that laying around in my drawer, you know?
First round, you don't really have to, except for if you buy more than one. I think that's $2,000.
You have to pay $2,000
yeah.
through the first round.
First round, yeah.
And also, the foreclosure auction also designates some properties as special properties.
This year, the Detroit Land Bank asked the Wayne County Wayne County Treasurer to take and put all of the properties that they deem to be fair or good condition and unoccupied aside, so they could funnel those through their auction. And they obliged, and I think the first asking price was something like $3 million. The year before they did it, somebody actually bid on it, which was wild, because people were like, whoa, are you serious, man? But it didn't happen. He was not serious indeed. He came out and he said he wanted to put drones on street lights, and people were like, you're not serious. So yes, so that process that he was just talking about is called bundling. It's a very familiar tactic used by land banks all across the state.
Yes, ma'am. I have more information on it. So on the first round, we've been talking about the first round, the one where you pay $500 for minimum bid. That's the second round. If you want multiple properties, it's $10,000 to bid. If you want a single property, it's $5,000 that you have to put down. So you need to pool your money. I was in the second round, and one of my tenants, he did this last year too. He wanted to buy some property, so he threw in $1,000 and I put up $9,000. And he bid and he bought 2 properties, and he only had to put up $1,000. Then we sorted it out later, and he got his deeds a couple months later for me. So you can do that. You find a rich firm. The other thing is on that bundle. I have a house that I bought from a private owner, and it's sitting in the middle of 3 lots. The owner that's previous to the guy that I bought it from died, and he owned all 3 lots. And it's all fenced in. The garage is on one of the lots, the house is on the middle lot, and the other lot is next to the street. I found out at the last minute, I find out I'm only owning the middle lot. Then I find out that the other 2 lots are on tax sale. Okay, that's good, I'll buy them. except they're in the bundle. All right, so I'm having conniptions, but I had my assistant go down there, and she made friends with somebody down in Wayne County, and the bidding had just ended. But I still had money in their bank. I still had some leftover money because I went down and I paid for the properties outright as I bid on them. So I had a balance. And she said, hey, what about these 2 properties? And they said, want to buy them now? She calls me up, we can buy them. I said, go. So we got them. I didn't have to put up any additional money at all. They just took it out of my deposit and I own them.
Yeah, so
Good story.
we did some analysis actually on the bundle, and it's really weird and fluid at the end. You're actually, those 2 properties you bought were the only properties that they sold out of that bundle. So it was a weird thing that we noticed when we were analyzing. We're like, wow, they actually sold 2 properties out of it. Weird. That's amazing though. The other, I think though, that had you waited, you could have got those properties for $100 a pop from the DLBA. But taking the risk, I understand, sure. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if that's the same bundle, but we had a lot that we were looking for. So all I'm saying is if you find that a property or a lot is in a bundle, just keep calling. Because I had waited like 5 years and then it went into the bundle. I hear I'm going to get it, but it went into a bundle. I kept calling and calling and calling and they released it. So I'm just saying that if you have something that's in a bundle, don't give up, keep checking on it, and they may release it and you can get it. Some people give up and think it's just going to stay there, and then it still goes and sells single.
All right, sorry, there's a gentleman in the back.
Thank you all for your time tonight. I appreciate you. We know you're away from your families as we are. But I must say, I was expecting to leave with, like, these are the tools for finding the guy or whoever the entity next to me. And I don't feel like I have those tools. I've used Loveland, which is a great resource, but at times it's wrong. So are you saying if Loveland is wrong, go the route and pay all the money that you paid? I don't have the connections you have, so what do I do? What other suggestions would you have for
Look it up
those?
online, screenshot. What the hell?
No, can I respond to that?
Screenshot, yeah. You got all the data, you don't pay for it,
Do we want to start with Loveland since he
Let me just get one in here. Yeah, so great question. I had a lot of thoughts about ownership tonight, and it's really hard to get them all on paper because it's such a complicated topic. I think what you're describing is basically how we all feel, even at Loveland running a website. The way that we get our data, just so you know, is we set up a scraper that basically pulls down all the information from the city of Detroit, because if you search for a property in BSNA, they'll show you the owner. So we basically run all of the parcel IDs against that search 386,000 times, once a weekend, every weekend, and update our property information every Monday. So if it's incorrect in BSNA, which it more than likely is, if you're finding that kind of inconvenience, you're probably going to need to go to the Register of Deeds. It's, like I said, $6 for 15 minutes. It can be very confusing. You can also go down to the county and ask them to pull records for you. It just comes down to how much time you're willing to spend into it. But there are probably about 1% of the properties in the city do have some kind of weird issue. And unfortunately, 1% of 386,000 is still a hell of a lot of properties.
And did you have a follow-up?
I did. I do get a little frustrated. I know how hard Loveland works, and I know that I get some really good information from there, but I kind of go with the follow the money approach. And what I've discovered is that if I go into the Wayne County their website, and I ask for a copy of the last paid bill, they'll email me that bill. Well, on it is the name of the person who just paid the last tax bill, and their address where you can actually reach them.
Yeah, so that doesn't necessarily mean they own the property, though, just to be clear. So if you can pay, you don't need to be on the deed to pay taxes.
No, but what
So-
that does is it gives you that, if you know, who's going to pay taxes on property?
I know you say that, but it happens more times than not. So one thing that we work on at Loveland right now, what we want to do is come up with basically a model that is a likeliness model and takes into account stuff like that. So we also have taxpayer address and taxpayer information. We want to aggregate that into a score for you as a user to say, how likely is this to be correct? That can be super helpful, but it's really a village to find an owner in a lot of ways. You're going to have to go through all of these different paths. And I personally, as somebody who tracks down a lot of ownership information, you're going to spend a lot of time. There's no quick way about it unless state policy changes and there is a more direct connection between the county and the city. So.
All right, over here.
Yeah. Ownership of private properties, without property, what resources are there for these development rehab, like grants, as opposed to loans?
Brick and beam.
Brick and beam. Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, the question was, once you've acquired property and you own the property, are there resources to assist you in redeveloping the property? And there are a lot of people trying to put together really great resources like Brick and Beam to help you find additional resources to help develop the property. In terms of grants, I don't know if I'm the person that can speak intelligently about that, but there might be various resources like Brick and Beam, for example, who can help point you in the right direction. But I don't know if there's a lot of money available to
We
individuals.
definitely post them as we hear about them. The programs that happened recently, the 0% home loan program. There's going to be a new program coming out. I want to say it's a proposal lift. I missed that.
Which is really addressing what the appraisal value is, because if you're trying to get a mortgage, but you have a house that's appraised at $20,000, but it really needs, it's $20,000 plus the $60,000 worth of work you would be putting into it, then actually working on having a mortgage product that would address those needs. So at this time, I'm not aware of any grants that are out there. But if anybody in the audience is, or if you ever hear about them, please let us know, because I'm sure they would be wildly popular.
Yes, ma'am.
There's a website called grantwatch.gov. You pay $30 to get access to, and it has a lot, hundreds and hundreds of grants that are available in Michigan. I found most of the, things like the Knight Foundation, they really want things to help the community. So if you want to take your building and rent it out, you're probably not going to get money. If you wanted to take your building and you're probably not going to get money. If you want to take your building and do an incubator for neighborhood kids to start businesses, you probably have a good chance of getting money. And how you are, it's probably terrible. I find a lot of those grants go to establish businesses or establish nonprofits. So if you're MOCAD, you're going to get $150,000. But so the way to get the money is to start doing things and take photos. So you have this building, you want to start an incubator to help neighborhood kids start small businesses. Do things for free. Take photographs of those things. It doesn't have to be a big deal. But having some establishment of work in the community is going to be really helpful to help you get that money.
I actually want to introduce Samira really quick. She's with Michigan Community Resources, and she's why we have Dan here. And they have a lot of resources we're going to be linking to on our website that have to do with a lot of these legal issues, because that is an arm of their organization. And she also had a couple thoughts on how to achieve a winning bid in the auction.
Hi everyone. Sorry, I put my wine glass down. Can I get a thumbs up if you've heard of Michigan Community Resources? All right, awesome. So Michigan Community Resources provides legal assistance and technical assistance to community organizations specifically. A similar program to this and a partner program would be our Landform event, which I think I've seen some of you at. As regards vacant property and some of these issues of looking for owners, so on and so forth, we have several different resources on our website that Victoria will make available to you. We have a vacant property legal manual, which is a little bit dry, but we'll walk you through the whole ownership search. Also the business entity search, which is the process of trying to find an LLC. You can know, as this fine gentleman was saying, everything about how to do that ownership search, but unfortunately, people are really able to hide their tracks well as far as who is behind an LLC. You can always get identification for the resident agent and try to contact the owner through there, because every Michigan LLC has to have a resident agent, but that may be as far as you go. And hopefully there's some kind of management company that you can get in touch with. So to the gentleman's comment in the back who was saying, well, what do I do if I can't, spend all this time and money trying to find the owner? Unfortunately, we're just not there yet. We do have this incredible resource of Loveland that has done so much of the work for us. We're really quite fortunate. City, county, municipal records, often they're not up to date and you're still going to run into these issues. And I would also say, as far as the grants and home repair funds, we're in better shape than we were before. People are always working to come up with more options for people. So I would encourage you definitely to keep checking out Brick and Beam, and then also to look at MCR's website. We have an entire vacant property toolbox and step-by-step guides to land acquisition and a variety of other resources that can help you walk through some of these things, including boarding, including the trespass and squatting laws. My name is Samira Guillot. You can look me up, contact me, and I can talk with you about some of these things. The comment that launched this was that a few people were saying, well, I don't have $5,000, maybe I don't have friends who can pull $1,000 to bid in the auction. There are some community organizations that will bid for you. Because the new foreclosure law, you are not allowed to bid if you have been in foreclosure deficiency within the last 3 years. However, if you have not, and you would like someone to bid for you, Bridging Communities and United Community Housing Coalition, as well as the Tricycle Collective, are 3 organizations that will bid on behalf of individuals. It's too early for that right now. I don't know what their plans are for the next year, but UCHC and Bridging Communities have been doing that for years and years. So I have every reason to believe they'll do it in the fall. Yeah?
Rename those companies again, please.
Okay, United Community Housing Coalition. They are on Bagley. They are in the same offices as Michigan Legal Services. And they have office hours, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9 to noon. They're saints, so pay them some money if you can. Bridging Communities, which is a Southwest Detroit, mostly elder services organization. And the Tricycle Collective, which is a new organization that raised an amazing amount of money to buy back tax foreclosed properties in the last year. So, and I can provide that information to Victoria and make sure she has it on her website.
I wanted to know from the lady who was here from the 8 Mile Boulevard Association. She's still here.
Oh, Trish. You're being
Hi,
called.
Trish.
Hi.
What can a contractor do to get involved in this program? Call you.
Yeah.
We don't have, your number isn't on the flyer.
Oh, it's a secret. No. I have tons and tons of cards.
Okay.
So, yeah, absolutely. What kind of business do you have?
It's not mine, it's my uncle's.
Okay.
He's a contractor. He's been in business for over 30 years.
Fantastic. And he works in Detroit?
He works in Detroit.
Yes. Good. Just come and see your off my
Okay.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Sachs.
Hey.
Hey.
All right. Thought experiment for you. Say you live next to somebody who owns a house, but it's actually a 501c3 entity, and say it's still in disrepair. How do you go about doing something about that?
No flat thicket.
Unless someone here disagrees with me, I don't think anything is different. I think that you find out who is behind the 501c3 and you reach out to them. If they don't react, you try to enforce the code, you take matters into your own hands.
Okay.
I think the other thing too is with 501c3s, they have a certain amount of laws that they have to abide by, and you could theoretically look at their practices and see if they are still in standing for that 501c3.
Word for agreement, which is the term that you're referring to. So I think the individual's living there tax-free. Church if he wants to. So
Yeah, so I think that you can call, so if you have a situation like that, I think that's first and foremost probably something that you probably need to report to the city and the city assessor. So if it's a building that somebody's living in that may not be zoned for residential, you can talk to the building department. There are a few things that you can do. What part of the city are you in?
Joseph Berry.
Okay, so if you do you have somebody in your neighborhood that writes blight tickets or anything like that?
Not that I know of, but.
Okay.
You know the mayor.
Yeah, district.
Whoa,
So I would go down the route of the city personally. If you have a district manager, I would talk to them first and foremost about the issue, and they can kind of funnel you through the right department. That would be my advice.
Okay, great. There's a lady over here with white and blue.
My question is, do you have any idea why the Detroit Land Bank would require someone to own a structure on a property where there's a vacant lot in order for them to buy it, versus you owning a vacant lot, and you can't build anything on a single vacant lot, but they will not allow you to buy the vacant lot next to the vacant lot that you own? Do you understand the rationale of that?
I think that so the program, it may be a sacrilege the name of the program, which is the side lot program, right? So I don't know if a side lot next to a side lot is technically a side lot. Maybe they're really hard about that. Personally, as somebody who has purchased 3 side lots that are next to my structure, I can tell you that I appreciate that sort of thinking, as a neighborhood member and a community member. There are a lot of avenues. I mean, they're really lenient about that kind of stuff. I don't know if you've reached out to them personally and talked to them, and talked to your district manager. If you have a really express purpose for that stuff, they're really flexible. The city of Detroit and the land bank own 100,000 properties, 1/4 of all the land in the city. They don't want to own all that land forever. So if you can figure out a good use for it, I think they'll listen to you.
Yeah, and we also, unfortunately, we don't seem to have a land bank member here tonight, but we often do at Brick and Beam events, and we definitely will in February. So stay tuned, but definitely those avenues are quicker than the February. Okay, yes, sir, in the green.
I have a 2-part question, actually. I purchased a 1915 house through the 2014 foreclosure auction. So when you brought up that lawsuit, is there any way that somebody could come back and, have a claim to that house, or how all is that going to work out?
Good question. I think that's very much up in the air. Most likely not. So if I was to prognosticate about it, probably the people received notice who are bringing the lawsuit. Probably there was a technical violation of how the notice was given, and so the question for the judge would be form over substance. The judge would have to decide if the person or people who are bringing the lawsuit actually were impaired by the failure of the notice. It doesn't get around the fact that they never paid the taxes, right? And so
when I purchased the house, there were actually 2 squatters in the house. The person who owned the house didn't live in the house. There were squatters. There was no indoor plumbing had been off for 2 years, illegal hookup. The house was a mess. So I don't know if that.
So I don't know what the legal advice is.
The owner probably didn't get notice, but they put a notice on it.
Well, to be clear, yeah, the delivery of the notice, the owner doesn't have to actually receive the notice. Was the notice given correctly? And if it was, then great. And so your specific question, your specific situation, the practical answer is highly unlikely that you have anything to worry about. You still live with the squatters?
No, we can't. They actually live a street over now. The lady came back and I give her pop cans and stuff. I give her a ride to the party store. So I actually appreciate them living there, because if they hadn't been living there, the house probably would have been scrapped, and there's no way I would have been able to buy it. So I actually appreciate it.
No, that's wonderful. So I don't have a great answer for your question, other than the lawsuit's still pending. It's open. It's up in the air. And just because the plaintiffs are calling into question the delivery of the notice doesn't mean it will actually affect who owns the property at the end of the day. But it's hard to know for sure. Most likely in your situation, there's nothing to do with it.
So my second part is, around the house, there's 11 acres of vacant land. There's 3 houses on my block, mine, and then there's 1 vacant house and 1 occupied house. Everything else around me is vacant and it's owned by the city. So I know the land bank has a side lot program, but how do you go about buying land from the city itself?
So my understanding right now is the city's also very open to land use plans. They're reworking on the master plan right now. 11 acres is a lot of land to sell to an individual, though.
I don't want to buy all 11.
I understand that. So I think what they would probably do right now, I think they're working out how to lease land. So if you have a block club group, you can actually go to the city and say, there are 3 people in this area. We're interested in doing X with this. Maybe it's fencing it off, and they'll lease it to you, potentially with a purchase plan, long term. They want to ensure though that you're going to take care of the property. You're not going to move out of the neighborhood. There's a lot of issues with simply just selling off lots like that from the city. So.
All right, we're gonna do 2 more questions, and then I'm gonna ask our panelists to hang around for a few minutes, and then you all can network with each other. So there's a gentleman in the back.
I run a grassroots nonprofit organization in Detroit, and we've been working on a house for about 2 or 3 years. It's been in the Detroit Free Press. We literally saved the house from being demolished, and went to the Detroit City Commission and gave them evidence that we were fixing it up and beautifying it. So they gave us an opportunity to purchase it from the land bank, and I found out from the land bank that somebody actually owns it. Well, I pulled the deed, got the information, and now I have the deed to the house, but I'm trying to figure out how do you contact this person, and what would I say to her that would make her, it's pretty, quite a bit of work that we've done already for her. It's been abandoned for many, many years, so trying to figure out what would be fair how to approach her about it, since we've already worked on it. The whole community working together, there's probably like 20, 30 people involved with our neighborhood project. So there's a lot of people that would be excited to get a chance to own it through our nonprofit. So we're trying to approach her in the right way, say the right things that maybe she'll, not try to, sell it for a bunch of money. Try to get, affordable housing situation so we can own the property.
So she still pays the taxes on the property?
The records show that the taxes have been pretty, I didn't see any, taxes listed on Wayne County Treasury database that says that there's taxes owed. It looks like it's paid.
Okay. You can also, if you're interested in knowing more about the tax situation, you can email us at team@makeloveland.com, and we can point you towards some resources for that.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you have any advice as far as?
No, I mean, I think you just gave the pitch. If it's paid up, if she owns it outright, and she's been in Cuba for 5 years while you've been fixing up her house, it's kind of an interesting situation that you find yourself in, and I think that maybe what you just told the room is what you tell her. That's not legal advice, that's just natural advice.
The house next to it caught on fire, and part of the building got damaged after that happened, so I kind of have a feeling she's probably not interested in owning it, since that happened, but, so you're just saying, now that I know what the situation is, and hope for the best, basically.
I think so. We might have.
Oh, just gonna jump in.
Yeah, Samira's gonna jump in again.
Okay.
Hi guys. Since you are a nonprofit organization, MCR may be able to assist you. What I would need you to do is contact my office. We have all of these amazing volunteers like Dan here. I can't guarantee you that an attorney will want to assist you, but they may if it is a good pitch, as Stan was saying. That may just be giving you an advisory opinion about how to approach it, because sometimes when you negotiate with people selling property, as soon as you demonstrate interest, that demonstrates to them, oh, well maybe I can charge more than I thought I could. So there may be different ways to approach this that you want to think about. So I would just contact me at Michigan Community Resources, and we can talk about whether we can offer you assistance and what some of your steps might be. The other thing I wanted to address the question about 501c3s in the back, about living on a property tax-free. And this is important for everyone that does have a 501c3. If you are a tax exempt organization, that does not mean you are exempt from property tax in the city of Detroit or the county. You still have to apply for that status. So if you're thinking that you're tax-free, you're not. The only way that you are tax-free, and this is one of the blanket rules, there are lots of other nuances to this, is that if the property is not being used for the main services of your organization, it is not likely to be ruled tax exempt. So it has to be the place where you're providing services. So if an organization has 2 different locations, and one of them they're leasing to a retail store, and one of them they're providing services out of, only the place where they're providing services will be tax exempt. So that's just something new. I don't have any specific advice about that property, but the organization isn't going to be tax-free unless they've applied for it and they've demonstrated that that's where they're offering services.
All right, last question. In purple.
Hi, given potential savings opportunities as well as general environmental concerns, are you aware of any both financial, legal, otherwise barriers and opportunities for working with alternative housing systems, alternative water, energy, heating, electricity?
I think that sounds like a future So good call, and maybe a good way to end it. So thank you all for coming tonight. Your attendance